Apple. Good morning, chili dogs. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. 3 more pots coming your guys' way. We're gonna get right into it. We're listening to some like interstellar sci-fi thing right now, so I'm trying to match the vibe. I'm like some imperial diplomat, yes. But let's go. Green, off. Camera C. Camera B. And so I kept trying to tell them, seriously, when you're on the wheel, it really feels like you have a line and you're drawing with it. That's what the vessel becomes. Now we have our volcano. We're gonna grab our knuckle. We're still gonna hang out right at the bottom here. And I walk this up slowly, right? There we go. We're gonna collar this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is, that last one was a little bit off, but it's gonna be too thin, so it's gonna collapse down right away. So you can kind of see here. We're gonna have to walk this twist down if we want it to twist up at all. So we're gonna slowly dry our hands off on our pants. Hold that top, walk that in, push that down. A little bit of water on your fingers here. Find that new arch for us to start pulling that from. Ready? Kiss that rim. And so this was kind of interesting because you see how it was so thin on that bottom that it actually collapsed inward because it was too thin on that bottom edge there, right? And you could tell it was thin because it was starting to buckle down there as well. Bottom base here. I was walking around this desolate planet, and I found this weird tubular monstrosity of a pot. It looks like a torpedo, but what is it? Let's find out. Hold on. Camera B. It was a llama calling instrument. Hey guys, it's me. I saw that somebody used the llama calling instrument and called me here to make a volcano. And so here I am. Llama's gonna bite down on that rim. And then slowly, llama hand's gonna walk back as that right hand, or that left hand is pushing forward a little bit, right? Grab my sponge right down to the bottom. Open this up. I'm gonna grab my knuckle right along this bottom edge here, and I'm slowly pushing that bottom base in. There we go. So one's going in. I'll show you guys in a second. Camera A. Look at that. So I have this one on the inside of the tendril, literally trying to crawl into the interior of the pot there. And so I think this one kind of looks pretty cool. But here we go. Camera C. I think somebody a couple days ago asked me to do something like this, so if they're here, there you go. I feel like clay as a material is very chaotic, right? Like it doesn't want to be your friend. It's chaos, right? And so if you imagine that wheel is chaos, or the clay is chaos, right? Then your wheel is like gravity. It's like a general force that can't be obstructed, right? Centripetal force and gravity are working against chaos, right? But it's also working against you, right? And so how do you tame that chaos when there's these other forces around? I know that seems kind of artsy-fartsy language, but sometimes I think there's like a lot of really simple correlations that you can make to life when you work with clay. Find this bump. You're just slowly walking this bump up. And we get to the top where it's thin and we're slowing down. You can see I dissipate that bump. There we go. Okay. Bottom, I push in. I shift both hands in. I slowly feed that into your hand upwards until I find this little bump here. And then that's when I'm walking up, right? I'm gonna slow the wheel down a little bit. Really focusing on having that fingers on the exterior meet those fingers on the interior. But do you see how my wrist is curled up? Because I almost want it to feel like I'm lifting it upwards. Some people will close their wrist down, and I feel like they're actually pushing that clay down. You almost want to feel like your hands are ready to fly off into the sky. And so like you can see this wrist here is up as I'm pulling that up, right? It's not down and just continue down all the way, right? It's curling up, almost like you're creating the letter J when you're making the pull. Greetings. We're gonna do a pottery review here. Alright, so I think maybe we'll start off with this one over here. I think I like this one the most of the day. I think that when I finally got to do one where I did a buffer twist on the bottom and I slowly got to lead that up to the treetop here, and I opened up the treetop. I don't really have a lot of them where I do the buffer and then the middle twist and have it open all in the same vessel. So I actually really think that this one's the winner of the day. I think it's colliding some of other ideas in a really positive direction. I think it goes out a little bit wider. I think when I do these ones, they end up looking very cylindrical, right? And so I think just popping that edge out ever so slightly on the top really gives it something a little bit more interest to the object there. We're gonna go over, let's go right into the one on the top. The one on the top, we'll leave the one over here for last, but the one on the top, I feel like I'm like one of those Star Wars characters in the desert. But yeah, I think the one on the top for me, it's the most uniform of the ones today. It didn't really have a really long skirt on the bottom of the tree, and so how did I kind of account for that is I almost just like used my tool as my finger so that I could kind of jam that into the bottom of that vessel, give it some pattern, some interest, right? Not just leaving it alone. I think sometimes could be a good idea, but not on this pot. It felt like it needed something, and so that one's more simple too. Again, it's coming inwards. These other two are kind of splaying outwards, and so I think that's where it leads me to this one over here. This one over here I think is the second favorite of the day. And why is that? Look at the camera up top here. Do you see how that tendril on the side right here curls up over top, finally trying to enter into the vessel, trying to see what's happening right in that little vortex in the center there. So I think that's kind of cool. Maybe I have like 5 of these ones that are kind of like that. I don't do that too often, and they usually aren't tall enough to actually get in, but using the shorter amount of clay but having a more longer skirt allowed me to do that. So kind of a cool vessel here. I also want to just point out something I noticed when I was looking at it is when the light hits it, you can see the refracted light, maybe not refracted, but reflected light from the orange bat onto the object. It's almost ominous with the little red light here. I think it just kind of looks crazy. So, I don't know. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. All the best. Strong mentality. Goated 1.